Good morning, it's Shane here and Chris with the Right Spotters. And today we are talking about types of articles. So right now, we've covered lots of subjects here on the Right Spotters about how to write an article, using your voice, writing for the correct audience. So today we're going to take more of a 10,000 foot approach when it comes to fitness writing. So in my experience of writing, there's basically 3 or 4 different types of articles that play well on the internet. And one is a list article where you use a number in the headline. Another one is an opinionated article, an op-ed, which is usually just the author's opinion, and they usually put a disclaimer there. And then there's the technique article, so basically how to do a particular exercise. And then as part of that list family, there's a best of article, so like the 5 best exercises to build your legs. Now, within each of those articles, they need to just be written a certain way. So today we're going to break that down.
It all comes back to knowing what you want to say. Like fundamentally, if you decide to write an article, you need to know what you want to write about. Are you going to write about the 5 best triceps exercises? Do you want to teach somebody how to do dips? Do you want to teach somebody what low carb really means and why net carbs isn't really a thing? So it depends on what message, what information you're trying to teach. And over the course of time, you certainly want to vary your output. Like you don't want to only stick with listicles, list-based articles with, here's the 8 best exercises, here's the 8 worst exercises, here's 7 fat loss workouts, here's 5 ab exercises. Like it gets boring and it gets silly. And from an editorial perspective, editors will wonder, can you write anything else? If all we see you putting out is list type articles, we wonder, can you really teach a technique article? Can you do how to squat? So make sure you vary your content, and that will help to build a more robust library of your content. Does that make sense?
Yeah. I think I basically missed a big one. I'm doing a lot now for muscle and fitness. It's just basically workout articles. So it's just basically the whole article is based around a workout. I've been doing a lot of that recently, and I just completely missed it. I love those articles. They're easy. Not only is it a how-to exercise, but it's also just basically a workout exercise. You know that within each of those articles that I just explained, it's important to have actionable content, right? So we could go into a bunch of stuff there, but particularly the reader is going to read the article and then go, I can do that, right? So even if I know you're not a fan of list articles, I mean, a bigger fan than I am, but I love list articles. Even within a list article, you should say where you would put that in like a workout program, all right, or why you would do that exercise as part of your workout program.
Yes, definitely. I'm not against list articles. I know. I just think I've seen them get overdone. I've seen them be overemphasized. They're very informative. They're an easy way to pack a lot of information in one piece of writing. And SEO loves them. Like they're great for search engine optimization, search engine results, because that's what a lot of people search for. They'll type in what's the best fat loss workout. Good thing you have an article about 4 great fat loss workouts. I think, and we did a social media post on this on at the Right Spotters a while ago. And actually it's on our blog, therightspotters.com. There are pros and cons to every type of article. And one of the issues with list articles is they are relatively easy to put together, because if you're covering 9 different biceps exercises, you only need maybe 2 paragraphs each. So you're not taking a deep dive into anything specifically, but you do get to cover a wide stretch of ground. You do get to kind of show off your knowledge base a little bit. And in those 9 biceps exercises, you're probably going to come up with a couple of exercises that people haven't heard of before, which is always great. That helps you to stand out. If you recommend a 1-arm barbell curl, very few people have seen that or heard of it, but it's a great biceps exercise. So these kind of list articles where you highlight several different things in one is a great opportunity to showcase your unique training style.
That's a great point. And like, particularly with opinionated articles, not that you should write a lot of them. It's that same thing. That's where you can separate yourself from the rest of the pack. I've got many years ago, I wrote an opinionated article on the 5 biggest strength training mistakes made. And Barband turned it into a YouTube video that got like, I don't know, 20, 30,000 views or something like that. As that kind of separated me from the pack, but it also gives you an opportunity to showcase your knowledge as well. Because list articles, yeah, you can chuck in a unique exercise and it looks really cool, and you go, oh yeah, this guy knows his stuff. But I think with workout articles and op-ed articles is a real place where you can show your skill as a writer.
I think definitely, especially the op-ed style, which by that we kind of basically mean like you're really just your personal and professional opinion on a topic. You're not so much teaching how to deadlift. You might be talking about why sumo deadlifts should not be laughed at. Like sumo deadlift is cheating. It's a meme. It's not a fact. So yeah, another 1,000 words on that. Or a very popular one that always gets community engagement when it's posted with comments and replies is CrossFit good or bad? A lot of coaches have an opinion. There's no right or wrong answer. So that's what we mean by like an op-ed, like just straight up your opinion on a given topic. Another thing to pay attention to when you're covering any different type of article that, like Shane said earlier, the different types of articles will be formatted a little bit differently because you have different ground to cover. If you're doing a workout article with here's a biceps building workout, you need to cover, sets and reps and exercises and things like that. If you're covering how to do a barbell curl, you need to cover what muscles it targets, why you would do a barbell curl, maybe who shouldn't do a barbell curl. So the different articles will require different types of input and a different technical approach.
You bring up an interesting point, particularly with the formatting. So with what you're saying with that workout type articles, a couple of things that should be covered when you're doing that is particularly with a novel exercise. We do the sets, reps, muscles trained, and things like that. But I also find it handy, and I've done it at Barband, and I brought that to Muscle Fitness, is just doing a coach's tip or a form tip. People who read these types of articles usually know what they're doing, depending on the audience. So you don't really need to go in depth on how to do a barbell bicep curl, right? It's pretty stock standard, but you can give a form tip like put your shoulder blades in your back pocket to keep an upright stance or something along those lines. Having those kind of things are important, and that also showcases your knowledge as a coach.
It definitely does, because that's where you get into writing as if you're talking to a client in the gym. If you were working with a client in the gym and you give them certain cues during training, fit those cues into your article because you're coaching your readers. So approach it with that mindset. Whether it's how to set your feet in a stance or how to fix your upper back or whatever it is, use the same tips and tweaks. Don't hold anything back, because you're trying to teach, you're trying to educate, you're trying to show how you work, and through your writing is how you're getting it done.
I think it's like, because I love list articles. So we're going to go in a little bit of formatting here. So a good list article, and this is the way I used to do it at Barband, and probably Breaking Muscle did something similar. It was like an intro, how to do it, how it helps or benefits, and sets and reps. Boom, 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 boom. And that's why they're so, like you said, they're not a stretch to write, because they basically follow that format. Now with like with a technique article, so that's when you can go a little bit more in. That's when we basically go in depth on an exercise. So that requires just a little bit something different. So I like with a technique article, there's an intro. Basically, some people don't even know the exercise, so you got to say basically what is it. So what is chaos payoff press? People might never have heard of it. Rather than going in straight how to do it, you got to say what it is, right? So you do that, and then you go from there. You go into how to do it. Then there's benefits, and then there's mistakes, form tips, and then you can go into sets and reps and programming suggestions. That's the basic format that's the basic format that I use on a on a technique article. Also on the op-ed article, you could go many different ways on that, but I think the most important thing with an op-ed article is you back up what you say. You don't have to back it up with research. I mean, you can back anything up with research, but I think that gives you a chance to really showcase your knowledge, is where your coaching experience come in to back up what you say. Like you said, whether you use CrossFit, good or bad, you could go several ways with that, but you always have to back it up with either research or experience.
I think definitely backing up what you say might not be what people are used to doing, but it always helps. It lends credibility. It explains why you think what you think. That's that's pretty simple. Another great tip, even though we're always talking about writing, is especially for technique articles. If you're talking about how to do an exercise, maybe plan on including a demonstration video, because that's a lot of people learn visually, and you can only teach exercise techniques specifically so well verbally, or using words only. That's verbally, because you're typing.
Yeah.
So a demonstration video, just like in the gym, if you demonstrate to your client, here's how we do the exercise, and you show them what it's supposed to look like, instead of just talking and trying to talk them through it. If you're doing a technique article, or even like a best whatever exercise article, either plan on shooting a quick video yourself, or track one down online on YouTube or TikTok if you have to, or Instagram, that aligns with the technique that you're teaching, because a lot of people have different technique for similar exercises. So if you're going to use a video that somebody else created, watch it first and make sure it matches your advice. If you don't want to get in front of the camera yourself, that's fine. But definitely use visual aids when they're appropriate and when they're very beneficial, which will be your technique articles, anything that talks about exercises. Not nutrition stuff, maybe not so much, unless you're doing a cooking demo. It'd be great. I'm all for watching some cooking. But anything exercise based, use visual aids. Don't just try and write it out.
That's a good point. And you bring up, you really do. If you're gonna use somebody else's video in your article, watch it. Right? I know common sense, and common sense is not all that common, but yeah, watch it. Me personally, if I shoot my own video, I don't like to do it. I would rather use somebody else personally. That's just me. But sometimes you have to shoot your own video because the video quality of people is not great, right? I remember I think it was a single leg hip extension hamstring curl on a stability ball, and that exercise is a killer. I couldn't find the video, and I shot it myself. It ended up getting like 19,000 views. It went viral or something. I wouldn't say it went viral, but when you do an exercise video as part of your article, you've got to make sure that you got to lock it in. It's got to be we talked about congruency before, but if we're going to use, like you just mentioned, if we're going to use videos and articles as a visual demonstration, it's got to be congruent with the article.
Definitely, because you're using it to support what you're writing about.
Yeah.
Which is, it's a custom made, it's a tailor made video. You're making it knowing that it's going in this article, so you're supporting yourself. So just again, so you need to just know what you want to say and what you want to teach people, and it shouldn't necessarily be the same thing all the time. If you have a blog, which you should say all the time, you can't just keep putting out the same type of information, the same type of content, because again, it'll get redundant and boring, and people will not really be interested in returning to see what else you have to say. Oh, this week it's how to squat. Next week it's how to bench. Next week it's how to deadlift. Next week it's how to overhead press. All right, teach me something new if you can. That's going to be the reader's mindset. So maybe it's how to overhead press. Maybe next week it's a 20-minute workout. Maybe the week after it's why sit-ups aren't that bad. So mix up your style of article, your type of article, because that's one way to make sure you're teaching a diverse curriculum. Basically, you're talking about a lot of different topics. You're covering a lot of ground, because there's plenty of ground to cover between diet and exercise, between nutrition and training. And if you're a focused strength coach, maybe you're not going to write a lot about nutrition. That's fine. People probably aren't expecting you to. If you're a registered dietitian, people probably aren't expecting to learn how to do a reverse crunch on your information. So again, as we've said plenty of times, talk about your strong suit, play to your strong hand. So if you're capable of covering a lot of ground and talking training and nutrition with a high quality of content, which is always underlying theme, it better be an underlying theme through everything, then cover ground. Then talk training, talk protein sources, talk exercise technique, talk meal planning, whatever. Otherwise, just stay in your lane, talk all about different types of training, talk all about different nutrition concepts. Is that something? I know we talked about your blog before, Shane, and you kind of cover a lot of different ground with op-eds and training stuff, yeah?
That's correct. That's right. But I like to bring it back a little bit. I think you bring up a great point. Is you got to write a variety of articles, right? You can't just keep writing the one thing. So those 4 that we just covered today, those 4 types of articles, it's good to switch between them. Personally, on my blog, I like to do a training type article, and then I do like an obstacle type article, like a personal type thing, where I go into certain aspects of fitness that people struggle with, because I struggle with them. So I'd say that's more of I do like a training and I do an op-ed. I switch between the 2 of them. But I think what you said before really shows your writing chops when you can just write different types of articles, and because you can get very easily shoehorned in this industry if you just do the one type of thing, right? So to prevent yourself from being shoehorned, write different types of articles.
Definitely. And also, if you're keeping a blog and you have a variety of articles on there, and an editor for a website decides that they might want to work with you, having that diverse content can make you a more valuable writer. They might be more interested in working with you because, oh, you can cover fat loss stuff and kettlebell exercises and training technique and whatever. So it will support you professionally, makes you look like a more well-rounded writer by being able to tackle different topics, different subjects.
Yeah, I think it brings up a good point. I think it really in the fitness space, if you're a writer, it pays to be a generalist, right? I'm an all tool type of guy. I use TRXs, barbells, dumbbells, resistance bands, mini bands, whatever, body weight. It doesn't really matter. Every tool is a tool in the toolbox, right? I think a lot of people get boxed into, say, kettlebells or barbells or whatever. But I think, I know we're straying off track a little bit here, but I think it really pays in your writing to be a generalist.
It does. It generally does, sir.
Yeah.
Unless the only exceptions are very far and
Yeah.
few and far between.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
Mark Ripito just writes about barbell exercise. Pavel Tsatsouline only writes about kettlebell exercises.
Yeah.
Most coaches are not Ripito or Powell.
Yeah.
So unless you are
right,
yeah,
yeah. Everyone has a specialty. I get that, but I think you can be a specialist and also be a generalist, right? Because it's all about exercise. It's all about the one subject. It doesn't matter what the tool is. It's kind of done a similar way. I have nothing against specialists, but I think particularly in the fitness space, it pays to be more of a generalist than it does to be a specialist.
Oh, I would agree with that. I was just saying that there are very few examples of why you wouldn't want to be a generalist. Like you want to show that you can cover a lot of ground in your writing and in your training. That's going to appeal to the widest audience, which will be the most beneficial for everybody. It's beneficial for you as a fitness professional. It's beneficial to the readership because they're getting more of your information. So yeah, so just cover, make a conscious decision to cover a lot of different topics. And if you read back over your last couple of pieces of writing and they all look pretty similar, it's all 7 best whatevers and 8 fat loss workouts and whatever, then make a conscious decision to say, next time I write, I'm going to do something different. And it'll challenge you. It might feel a little uncomfortable, but it'll be a benefit. It'll be better for you, better as a writer, and it'll be better for your readers. There's more for them to consume.
We all get stuck in a rut, no matter what you do, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I've been stuck in a rut before because I love list articles. I could do them all day, right? But yeah, I think again it pays to. I mean, we talked about staying in your lane, and that's legitimate. But also, stretch your style. Not so much because you have to stay in your lane. It's just the style of writing that you can kind of stretch a little bit. Not expanding your knowledge into something you don't know. We're really just talking about style here. So when it comes to being a good fitness writer, writing in different styles to match the different types of articles that we just talked about is essential, I feel.
It is. I agree. It's definitely essential. And one way to help make sure you vary your information is, like we say, think about the types of problems you solve as a coach. Because maybe you had a client that didn't know how to front squat. And so you gave them a couple of different grip options, cross grip, rack with straps, whatever. Yeah. That's an article. How to front squat, different front squat grips. Maybe you had a client who had stubborn fat. They couldn't lose, they wanted to lose 20 pounds in 8 weeks. You had to explain why you can't lose 20 pounds in 8 weeks. That's a fat loss article. That's a how to safely lose fat. Maybe you had a client that said, I want to try 16/8 fasting. And you say, no, it's not a good idea. Or, yeah, that's a great idea. Here's why. That's an article. So think about the scenarios you encounter as a coach, and that should give you some more perspective as to what to write about, which should naturally be a little bit different because you're handling different obstacles with clients on a regular basis.
It's true. It's true. Is there anything else you think we need to cover?
Nah. No, I think we covered it. It's be aware of the different types of articles. Make sure you serve each one properly because they're going to be, each type will require a different approach and different formatting, different details, and just mix up your content to provide as much information and education as you can. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think what I will do for people who watch this video, and Chris will do the same. Now, if you're interested in the templates that we use for these type of articles, reach out to us at the rightspotters.com or rightspotters@gmail.com, and I will give you the template free of charge that you can work from.
It's a great place to start because having a template does get you off to a good start. It tells you what you need to know to get started. So definitely reach out, let us know, and we'll get you that information to get you started.
We'll get you that template to get you started.
On that note, email us, contact us, find us. We're here to help. We'll catch you guys later.
See you guys.